We're back.
I missed the clap. There we go.
Was it Get Him to the Greek? His single he plays on the Today Show, You Got the Clap?
Different clap. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Jonah
just
Hill,
looking
I'm
for
so
that.
shit faced.
I'm looking for that sync. Or in the old days, like basketball or football camps, they make you follow along, and then they give you the fake one,
Yeah, just
and
a
you're
bunch of
like, "Dang it, I gotta
fascists.
run
Yeah.
laps now." I didn't stop.
Well,
Um, okay, so I was very close to falling for a email phishing scheme, uh,
I
which
have.
like every time like right now, this time of year is the CE continuing education. And you go through all the prompts and the classes and they talk to you about this and that. You're like, whatever, I'm not going to click on emails. Well, I clicked on one, damn it. And it was like, you're always looking for something funny. And what was funny was the PDF. But sometimes instead of like the PDF is usually at the bottom of the emails, or Outlook is very top of the email. Well, this had the PDF right in the middle, kind of highlighted in blue or purple or something. And it's like, it's kind of weird, but Gmail and things are sometimes kind of weird, and they'll like embed the link, and you've seen that, and it's legit. And it came through from a realtor email address. And then I responded to it right away. I was like, because at the bottom they had the information about broker services that everyone has in their emails. And I was like, do you want me to review the information about broker services form? Like, what is this? And they replied from the, as if it was the realtor. And they're like, yeah, open it up and take a look and let me know or something. I was like, I don't know. I guess I'll look at the PDF. So I clicked the PDF, and then it immediately took me to like Microsoft Outlook sign in. I was like, this is not right. So I called the agent. She's like, damn, somebody else just called me about that too. I think I'm being scammed and hacked or whatever. So
That's happened
I would
to
love to
me.
have a cyber specialist on sometime, because, like, what is that person doing? So is it true phishing where they just want a password? They want me to like sign in, and then they steal my password or a username or something. I know
Yeah.
that's a scam. But like, if I click, because in the old days, like AOL, if you clicked on it, you're done. That's it. You're totally screwed. So I did click on the link. I'm like, I don't know, kind of waiting. But then the only reason I even think about it today is right before we got on here, somebody called me, a regular phone number, the name popped up of who this might be. I was like, okay, it might be a lead or something. Hey, what's up? Is this Mark? I'm like, yeah. And then it just hung up. And I called back and it went to a voicemail that was default. So I'm like, was that just a weird connection, or is that like more scamminess? Like they're trying to get my voice or something so they can do. So you could go crazy conspiracy on all that.
Well, they're very sophisticated now. Like, if you answer the phone, depending on how sophisticated they are, like all they need is you to answer the phone and create that connection, and they can hack into stuff. Like that's on the like super sophisticated end, and on the other end, they're just trying to blow up your email address. I mean, catch you with
Well,
something,
what? So
steal your data, and whatever.
if they connect on my phone for 5 seconds, what are they going to do next? Try to just get all my auto saved passwords and everything?
Potentially. That's why now, like Apple Passwords, the new app on the update, it'll tell you how many passwords possibly were leaked or like have been compromised.
I've
Which
seen
I think
stuff
is
like
a cool feature. I don't know how accurate it is, but
I've seen stuff like that come through where it's like you might be on a list of whatever. When I see those come through, I'm like, oh well, if I'm on the list, I'm on the list. I mean,
right.
I used to have Wells Fargo, and I was always being in the black market on Wells Fargo list. So they
Yeah.
always had problems with security.
I've been the reason our company's been hacked, and then one of our other agents was the other reason I was with you actually in a golf tournament. Uh somebody sent me closing documents, which isn't uncommon for us to have weird secured messaging from a bank, which is annoying because you have to sign in, create a password, everything like that. So it's not uncommon. It's not super common, but it's not something that's completely foreign to us. And so I like logged in, kept entering my password over and over again, and it wouldn't take me to the message. And then suddenly I sent out 24,000 emails the next day. Uh, and all these things. And then it happened again a year and a half later. Another agent fell for one, and it hacked into our phone system for some of us. And like one of our agents ended up, there were like a couple hundred phone calls that came out from her phone number, and then over 2,400 text messages, as
So
well as emails.
what were the messages saying, and what was the purpose of the scam?
The same thing she fell for. Like, click here, like I have this is important, like I need you to review this type thing. So it's
So
them just trying to connect once they're in a system or like trying to find a way into your, I guess, closed network to just increase the chances of being able to steal stuff, as my thought. It's like you buy more than one lottery ticket, it increases your chances somewhat.
yeah, but like once they're in, what are they going to do? Try to log into my account and just transfer funds? That's got to be the ultimate goal, right? Everything has to come down
Yeah.
to money.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I would think. Or you somehow own a well in Uganda and there's a prince that's thanking you because you replied to
Yeah,
his email today.
I'd like a percentage of the royalty checks at least.
Right. I mean, it happens. It for me, it's always title companies. It's always
Yeah,
posed
they
posed
get
as a title company.
well. That's because they're trying to get wiring instructions and they're
Mhm.
actually trying to get you to send money. So I understand that. But these other ones where you like fake call me or email me and click a link that goes nowhere. What's the bit? And I look at my accounts, I'm checking my credit cards, like we got any kind of money being withdrawn or charges being applied, and everything seems normal. So I'm sure it's nothing, but what are they after? I would just like to know what
Mm-mm.
they're after.
That's why, I mean, that's why we don't use a debit card because if there's ever a debit charge, like we're like, oh, that
Harder to
definitely
get
wasn't,
back.
it wasn't us though.
Yeah,
I can count on one hand how many times I used my debit card in the last 2 years. So
yeah.
it's a little easier to figure out when that's happening. But
So
yeah,
you've seen Catch Me If You Can, right, Tom Hanks? So Frank Abagnale Jr. is the guy that movie is modeled after. I've heard him give a speech in the past where he's like, "None of my kids or family have debit cards because they all have credit cards. So A, it's helping improve your credit and all that, but B, if there is fraud, it's way easier to recover it on a credit card than it is on a debit card."
yeah, I'm sure him and Dave Ramsey would love to have a talk.
Well, Dave Ramsey, that's a good topic. Dave Ramsey, I had a client who was trying to get a loan, and their family is always, I mean, they've done really well. The family is great, but he struggles because he doesn't really have a credit score. It might actually be kind of low because he's had like one line of credit in his life, and he paid it off because his family follows the Dave Ramsey method and do cash for everything. So he just didn't have any credit, and like he's gonna have trouble getting a loan.
Doesn't have enough cash to buy and hold.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I think the cash and everything was fine for them because, again, they're business owners. They had some things going on, but that model, like if you do want a mortgage, following
Yeah.
the Dave Ramsey method your whole life gets to be a little troubling because maybe your credit score is in the five or six hundreds, just because you've only had one line of credit ever and you paid it off and then you never used it again, and for some reason it's just low. It does get a little tricky.
Yeah.
Great,
It's
obviously like theory behind it, but boy, it's loans are all about credit.
everything has its pros and cons
Yeah.
at the end of
Anyway,
the
I'm
day.
I'm a little nervous. All my like the lights in my house are just gonna shut off or something because of all this random stuff I've been getting. I'm gonna get hit by something here soon.
So you're gonna walk out, smoke detector is gonna fall and knock you out
Well,
in
that's something that could happen, but
any given time.
yeah, I'll take that. I just don't want to get hacked. So what's up? You said you had some lighter side.
It depends on how you want to view it. I haven't really dove too deep into the information, but on the topic of insurance, everybody's concerned about cost. But to start on a darker note, there is a hurricane headed towards Texas, so that's great.
Oh,
Uh, there's wildfires out west. Malibu's burning. So like I've told you privately, I'm like, unless there's an administration that actually does control the weather, your political
yeah.
beliefs do not matter.
Well, no, it's all based on
Um,
money coming in and going out, like you've talked about in the past. I really like your example of the pool.
yeah, but there are, and it's isolated, right? It's specific companies. So I'm gonna say a name that many people probably will never deal with. It's Chubb. Chubb is high net worth, high value, high dollar clientele. They're very picky, but they have reported record high premiums last quarter. A couple other smaller companies that are a little bit more normal to the general public have seen some higher premium intakes, higher revenues, which is good. But that has to continue for a long period of time for them to say, "Hey, we're going to cut rates." Um,
So higher
and
premiums, I'm gonna interrupt for talk to me like a second grader.
right,
Higher premiums meaning the company is reporting more revenue. They are probably a publicly traded company.
hmm
And so that is
yes.
good because the stock, anytime the stockholders make money, everybody's happy, then things can change and you can get a little bit more aggressive to try to make more
I,
money.
bu- I believe they're I'm not too versed in publicly traded mutual companies, private things like that.
Hey, if
Most
you got a
insurance
stock, if
companies
you
are
got a stock, a
mutual.
hot stock tip, man, you gotta let us know.
Most insurance companies are mutual companies. I don't really know what that means, but that's just the word that's thrown around a lot in the insurance world. So that doesn't mean like, hey, we're charging more. It means some of these companies are seeing an influx of premium. It could be more business. It could be less claims being paid out. It could be higher rates. A lot of things can factor into it, which is a good sign. That needs to continue for probably a year or a year and a half, I would think. And I know very little on the upper level thought process in the insurance world, but I would think probably a year, year and a half before we start seeing that impact our rates. Um, but
Well,
for the most part, these big jumps are believed to stop this upcoming year. So rather
nice.
than you giving me a call saying, "Hey, my rates went up 46%," and me laughing at you and saying like, "Sorry, the average is 65." I can look, but we're both wasting our time. We may
Yeah,
see them drop back down to, 10 to 30%. And
sure.
I use a really wide range just because I don't have any impact or any foot in the door to get that knowledge anyway. It's just a guess.
Yeah.
But it's a move in the right direction, right? And I think construction on the home front, I listened to a podcast yesterday about coastal construction, building fortified homes, which are way more resilient to wind. And there's three levels to it. There's roof, there's windows, and then there's foundation. Creating a stronger home, it's more cost on the front end. It gets you a small discount on the back end insurance wise, but what it's really providing is just a more resilient home because we are getting hit by more storms. So that's specifically to coastal areas, obviously. We don't deal with that here. But I do know there's been innovations in steel framing for single family homes, which is more expensive. Um, more weather resistant roofing. Early 2000s, my parents have a hail resistant roof, an aluminum roof, like with the softer metal shingles. Uh, that was super popular, and then insurance companies hated it because it's so expensive to replace. And then you're dealing with cosmetic damage, and insurance companies don't want to do that. So it kind of died out, but it's slowly coming back. So just like everything, it takes a while, right? A problem has to be present for a solution to come about. We now have a long enough period where we can clearly see the problem, and it's going to
Yep.
take some time to find the solution. And another thing that I never took into account and it didn't really come to mind was obviously a lot of things changed during COVID, and it's a blip. It's a minor outlier of the grand scheme of things, but insurance did see a decrease. These companies were like, well, these people can't afford their premiums. Like, we can't afford to lose business. So auto rates went down during COVID. Typically, you may be somebody who didn't see that decrease. Home premiums, they may not have gone down, but they didn't go up as part of everyone trying to find some relief to we didn't go into a depression, right? A forced
Yeah.
depression. And I'm using that word not really knowing what that means economically. But so there's a thing where like, all these people they saw that and then you come out of COVID and suddenly you've got an influx of storms. I mean, obviously totally unrelated, but influx of storms, an influx of movement, especially into the state of Texas where you're seeing hundreds of thousands of people move here. That increases your chance of claims being filed and more money getting pulled out of that pool that we've talked about.
But
So
that's the problem that you're talking about, right? It's all finally hitting a point here where maybe all the compiling can stop.
I mean, exactly. Like I use this as an example when I explain coverages, but imagine, let's just say there's a bathroom sharing that wall behind you. There's a pipe running through it, and that pipe has been dripping. Well, you don't know that it's been dripping until maybe one day you see a water spot. That could have been going on for a year before it
Yeah.
bled through that sheetrock.
Well,
Now
and
you can fix now you
water
can fix the
finds a
problem.
way. Water
Exactly.
finds a
But
way. So like it could be that there's a bunch of water over here, but you're only seeing it here, and it could be a big problem or it could
yeah.
be a little problem. But yeah, my
So you
condo has a problem like that.
does it, yeah. So I mean I use that analogy just to say you don't know it's a problem until it's a problem.
Yep. And
And
now
and
they've
everybody's increases over year, your insurance always went up. It just did. But everybody could stomach $100 increase, and now it goes up $1,000.
yeah.
Well, nothing's really, the problem hasn't changed, right? And your insurance goes up. That's the problem. So that problem hasn't changed. But now the problem is big enough to where you're like, oh, I see it versus ignoring it.
Is affecting
So
me. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Because most
affecting me.
people, most people probably would have never even talked about insurance like they have last little bit, but they
Nope.
would have had an increase, just been like, whatever, keep it there, never change it. Like, yeah, it's been pretty crazy. I've been fighting my escrow account a lot lately,
That's
because
a
of all these escrow analysis that they send in the mail that are total BS. So one of these
yeah,
days once this is all resolved, I'll tell the tale. And I'm still learning from it. Even somebody like me, an independent mortgage broker, I deal with escrow accounts all the time, but you don't deal with the servicing aspect of these accounts. And that's a whole other piece that's changed so much over the last few years of servicing. And like, when you hear about your loan getting sold or whatever, it's the servicing rights that are being sold, and so someone else is handling it. Um, and some of these companies are really a-holes, and they are like not very nice on the phones, and you just got to try to find somebody who can be a little bit helpful and dig in. Because one lady was like, "No, that's not how it works," and then I call again another person. They're like, "Sure, I can do that." I'm like, "Same company? Okay, whatever."
Well, and that you bring up an interesting point, right? Because it actually impacted you and your wife yesterday. I was having a conversation with Morgan.
Yeah.
We didn't know her mortgage changed.
So the servicer got sold.
Servicer changed, and we didn't know that. Nobody told us. And I think the
Hmm.
general public doesn't realize that you're supposed to tell your insurance agent because we
Yeah,
have to know
insurance has to be updated.
where we send the invoice. And a lot of people, I get it all the time. I'll get an email or a text late at night, and it's a picture of their notice from their mortgage company saying, "Hey, we're going to force place insurance because we have no proof." And
Yeah.
the mortgage company that they're sending me the picture of, isn't who we have on file. And I'm like, "Well,
Well,
when did that happen?"
there's too many breaks in the chains, a
Uh-huh.
lot. Like these are big, big, major operations, bureaucracies moving at their own pace. And then if it doesn't tell the other person, they're moving at their own pace. And all of a sudden, we're not moving together at that same slow pace. We're moving apart. And then you don't find out about it until way later. And you're like, that's a big gap we got to figure
Yeah.
out.
And it's a for us, it's an easy solution to fix. We just
Yeah,
send updated
usually it should be
documents.
handled, but wouldn't you just like to know when it happens rather
Yeah,
than having to fix it later on?
trust me. I deal with it daily. People are freaking out and they're like, "We don't have insurance." I go, "Yes, you have insurance."
Well, and because of the economy and the secondary market and a lot of stuff that drives it all, there have been a lot more servicing changing hands
Hmm.
lately than normal because people need that stuff off their books to help their profit margins. And so there's more trading going on the secondary market than typical. And so you have some issues. And just like taxes, this is the time of the year where escrow account matters. You got to look into things. You got to make sure you understand what the escrow analysis is even saying, and don't just pay the shortage to pay the shortage. Like, get it figured out. Like, hey, if I pay the shortage, is this actually going to help me? Well, no matter what, if you pay the shortage, they're still going to collect more for next year because they're calculating things off the wrong number.
Yeah.
So even if you pay the difference, your payment is going to go up And you're like, what the hell? I just paid you the 3 grand shortage you say I needed, but yet my payment still went up by $90 a month. What kind of math are you doing? Well, they're doing math based on numbers from 2023. So
Hmm.
like this year, a lot of taxes actually came back down to earth a little bit, but those won't get calculated for like everything is lagging by about a year. And so if a budget is a concern of yours, then call us and talk to us a little bit about your situation. We'll help you get through these back end systems that are really crazy and how to get on top of it. Like I'm actually going to be trying to get the PMI removed on one of my rentals. So I got to basically have an appraisal and have a lady over there and take some pictures and then we'll see what happens. But like that's a piece of me trying to fight this is like there's so many steps, and then maybe I'll get the payment where it should be rather than
Hmm.
these escrow companies just arbitrarily raising my payment. And it's a rental, so that's taking away spread that I need for profit each month just to get through. So that's the other thing people need to realize is just because you have a rental property doesn't mean you're rich. It doesn't even mean you're making money. Sometimes it's just
Right.
a nice place for a self-employed person to have to help offset taxes at the end of the year, a nice little loss.
Yeah.
So it can be, and if you have a rental property, you're taking a loss on it, and you want to qualify for a mortgage. Well, that's a whole other story because we can't have too many losses on the taxes. So escrow account can cause some issues.
Yeah, it can. It's confusing to me. I always tell people call your servicer, talk to your whoever your mortgage officer, what your loan officer was. Maybe they can give you some information. But I said just call your servicer. And
Yeah,
if you have any
if
questions,
if
call one of us back, and we'll try to help you decipher what they just lied to you about.
if you're having issues with taxes, insurance, mortgage insurance, just in general, your escrow account shortages, you're not going to probably have a surplus right now. Maybe next year you could, but if you're having any of these issues, reach out because we can help. It's basically what you have to tell people. Um, because we can help and we can try to guide you through a lot of red tape.
Yeah, it's really what it
So
comes down to.
that's yeah, the advisory piece is like, yo, we are in this world. We understand the muddy waters. Let's help you get through them. Here,
Yeah,
grab the rope. I'll pull you up out of the quicksand.
yeah. And then I don't mean to tangent here, but I know we want to keep this short. I wanted to completely off topic, has nothing to do with our job.
Perfect.
Um, I wanted to tell you about a movie I watched the other night that I think you would like.
Okay.
Uh, let me find it. It's with Don Johnson. It was on
Oh,
Netflix.
is it
It
new? I've
was
I've seen something with him on there.
it was Rebel
Nash Bridges.
Ridge. Rebel Ridge.
Okay.
It's very much Jack Reacher slash. It's very much Jack Reacher. Unknown military guy comes into town.
Yeah. Big Hollywood CIA plot.
But
Cool.
it's really not, it doesn't take that light. It's very much more blue collar, I would say. Acting's not super great. Storyline's kind of obviously like those movies are, it's a little all over the place. But
Nice.
uh it I liked it. I thought it was a great movie. I'll give you the gist. The guy comes in trying to help his cousin. Uh racist police force doesn't help him, lies to his face, and so he's like, "Cool, I'm military. I'm gonna kill everybody." Uh,
Big twist.
yeah, and so it was a pretty good movie if you like those types of things. Like if you go into it knowing it's going to be ridiculous, it's worth the watch.
So it's like a Fast and Furious kind of.
Kinda, yeah.
Just dragging. Fast and Furious lost me when they started dragging the bank vault down the highway on a high-speed chase.
Yeah. It's got Don Johnson in it. It's got um Pam's original boyfriend from The Office.
Oh,
You were talking about I can't think of his
uh,
name now. Roy.
boy, I could paint you
Roy's
a
his
picture
character.
of Roy.
Roy's his character, and then it's got this is a deep cut. If you've ever seen the movie Shot Caller,
Yeah.
so the young kid that's driving him around when he gets out of prison,
Oh man, I can't remember that much.
his name's Emery Cohen. He's one of the cops in there. It's like a piece of shit in the movie. And then the main guy is Aaron Pierre. I don't know who he is. Big, jacked, Jace looking dude. Uh, it's pretty
Oh,
good. I liked it. For it being a bad movie, I liked it. I think you would get a kick out of it. It's very Jack Reacher slash Jack Bauer-ish, but not quite as governmenty.
we like Jack Bauer.
Yeah. So
That was
I would
that
say
was
give it
my
a
career
watch.
goal as a as an elementary school and junior high kid. All I ever wanted to do was be Jack Bauer.
Yeah. But give it a watch. It's completely not have anything to do with our line of work or what we talk about on here, but
Perfect.
just trying to
There's
give
a
somebody something to do this weekend.
there's your weekly movie review. Well, we
I
gotta put
got I got more
we
if you
gotta
want
pay
them, but
attention to college football this weekend too, because I think as of right now, Texas would have to play Alabama in the first round of the playoff bracket. So we got to get that mixed up a little bit. We don't want to meet Alabama right out of the gates.
yeah. I mean, Alabama could lose this weekend. I mean, really what we're gonna do is we're gonna end up just being it's gonna be the SEC and then just two random teams is what the 12
The
team
big
playoffs is gonna be.
the Big Ten, they'll be in there. Big Ten will have a few. Oregon, because all the random schools are Big Ten now. Oregon, USC.
Yeah. It's
But
just I mean,
hey, here's great news. I don't have to watch NFL this weekend because I've already toast because Jamar Chase put up 55 on me last night.
I didn't know who I don't know who had him in our league, and I was
uh,
like I was looking through the matchups and I was like, who has him, and then I saw you were playing against him, and I was like,
I play
there's
in two.
nothing.
I play in two leagues basically, and I played against him in both leagues. So I'm all set on football this weekend. Thanks.
Well, how I don't know if you followed my matchup against Joe. Almost had a miraculous comeback. I was 1 yard short of tying him with a 39-point comeback on Monday night.
Oh man. Well, use a little luck, but whatever.
Yeah.
I'll forego fantasy football luck this year for a little luck in the markets.
Well, I mean, the good news is that you can easily win the women's league.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm gonna get
You could still
relegated.
get a championship next year.
I might get relegated. Whatever. All right. Well, let's break here. Good movie review episode, and no shows this week. I gotta go out of town.
Well, I think you'll if you've never been to Worst Fest, you're either gonna love it until you are drunk enough to hate it, or you're gonna hate it until you're drunk enough to love it. That's my prediction.
We'll find out.
All
Report back
right.
next week.
Later.
See ya.